Hello, everyone. This is quite amazing, quite shocking, and very interesting, and we need to take a look at it. If you're not aware that King Charles visited with the President of the United States, and they had meeting talks, and it's very interesting how King Charles has re-implemented or has stated that they will implement this type of digital ID in the UK. Let's take a look at the video and see what I'm talking about.
My ministers will also proceed with the introduction of digital ID that will modernize how citizens interact with public services.
How citizens will interact with public services. That is their reasoning behind this. I delved a little bit deeper and wanted to find out what is the real reason for this, and this is what I came up with. Let's take a look at this article. The introduction of the new digital ID was included in the King's speech delivered by King Charles this week as he set out the current administration's legislative agenda for the next 12 months. The scheme was initially announced in September as a mandatory step to help cut down illegal working in the UK. However, mounting opposition resulted in the government substantially revising its position in January. It said the scheme would proceed on a voluntary basis only, meaning that individuals will not be legally required to hold a digital ID to evidence their right to work. So there was a little pushback, and then they pulled back on the full implementation of it being a mandatory thing for now. But we are seeing that this concept of a digital ID is being introduced, and that should awaken us. Many of these things are going to take place in the UK first. I know we've been told that it's practically illegal to preach the gospel on the streets in the UK, and you can be charged and sent to jail for it. There's no type of free speech to where you're allowed to do it and there's compromise with the cops. No, it's just immediately hauled off and incarcerated. Now they want to implement this digital ID. Well, what does this remind us of? What does this remind us of in terms of a type of prophecy that was given to us thousands of years ago that would take place in the end times? Let's take a look. Revelation, the last book of the Bible, chapter 13, it tells us right here around verse 16, and he causeth all, this is referencing the Antichrist, the one who opposes God, who speaks blasphemies against God. He causeth all. Okay, this is not optional. This is not what they're doing right now under the revision in the UK, where it's not obligated, it's just voluntary for now. But this type of administration, or this king, if you will, this Antichrist, this ruler, this dictator, will not make it an optional thing, but it'll be a mandatory thing. He causeth all, both small and great. Doesn't matter if you're just on the street, homeless, or you're in a mansion in the cities. This mandate is going to be towards you as well. Small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, those who are outside of the prisons and those who are inside the prisons, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. I remember growing up, a small young person, and during the service, they actually played on the projector these Mark of the Beast movies. And they made a lasting impression on me. And at that time, it was displayed that there was a type of barcode on the forehead or on the hands. I mean, they were doing the best they could at that time with their knowledge of technology. But we have advanced greatly in the field of technology to where it's not necessarily a barcode that's visible. I mean, you can go to Disneyland and you get a stamp on your right hand or your left hand that's invisible, that could only be seen under a type of light that shows you have admittance into the park. In their right hand or in their foreheads. My theory is, why is it, right hand or forehead? Well, some people do not have particular limbs. They do not have hands. But everyone who's living has a forehead. Everyone who's living has a forehead where this type of insertion, this mark, can be placed in the body, in that area of the body, and that no man might buy or sell. You want to have a little taco stand on the corner? Poor, rich, free and bond, you need that mark. You want to be a retail CEO and you want to have a string of shops and string of businesses, you need that mark. Rich or poor. Buy or sell, that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So there's going to be different types of implementations of this mark of the beast, this signification of being devoted and pledging allegiance to the Antichrist, because it says, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name, or the mark. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666, which equates to 666. So back to the king's speech. Why would he say such a thing? Let's listen to it again.
My ministers will also proceed with the introduction of digital ID that will modernize how citizens interact with public services.
How citizens will interact with public services. Your interaction of public services will include buying and selling and conducting business. Therefore, this digital ID must be a part of society. The citizen, the person, must have this digital ID in order to interact with services, your everyday services. And in Revelation, we just read it, if you want to conduct business, you want to buy or sell, you must have this mark of the beast or the number of his name in the right hand or in the forehead. A digital ID is a secure electronic version of your credentials, such as a driver's license stored on your smartphone. A microchip implant takes this concept a step further by placing a tiny grain of rice-sized NFC, near-field communication tag under the skin to act as an unlosable digital ID, key, or payment method. While digital IDs on phones are becoming mainstream, microchipping humans remains a voluntary biohacking experiment. The chip communicates with compatible readers in the same way your contactless debit card or smartphone does. Thousands of people, primarily in countries like Sweden, have opted to get these chips inserted under their skin of their hands. They can be used to unlock cars, open smart locks at home or the office, store emergency medical data, and make contactless payments. And some would say, well, I'm just not going to take the mark of the beast or the number of his name, or I'm not going to worship his image. I don't want anything inserted in my hand or my forehead. I'll just deal without it. I'll deal with the consequences. Well, let's take a look at the consequences of you refusing the mark. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus and the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. So what is the result of you not wanting to take the mark of the beast? Beheading. A beheading. It's going to be a very harsh time. And it's going to be a very trying time for the believer and for the ones who are witnesses of Jesus. if you're living during that time, you're going to have to make a choice. There are many churches and denominations that say, well, we're not going to be here during the time of the tribulation. We're just going to be raptured away, and we're going to be with the Lord for 7 years in heaven, and we're going to come back during at the end of the tribulation, or however they believe it. These people do not have a knowledge of the Word of God. There are plenty parts in the Scriptures that tell us that we will be here during that time of tribulation. God has not appointed his children to wrath, but to obtain salvation. But there will be a time of trouble. There will be a time of great testing. And that's during the part of the tribulation where the believers will be here. We're not going to be here for the plagues, but we're going to be here during the time of great testing. And some of us, if we're living at the time, will be given the option to take the mark and pledge allegiance to the Antichrist, or to refuse. Right now, we're just seeing this as a shadow of what is to come. The spirit of the Antichrist wanted to go forward full force, but then they retract because the people come up in opposition. The devil's ready to go. It's only that which is restraining, that which is holding back, that will not allow it until it's God's timing to be fully implemented. But the Antichrist spirit has been here for thousands of years. John told us it was already there. And it's waiting to just fully manifest itself. And we are seeing these technologies coming to fruition, what we thought was science fiction years and years ago. I mean, you can look at some of the movies from the 80s, and I grew up in the 80s. A lot of the science fiction movies that I've seen, we are implementing those types of technologies in everyday life today. And some of them are yet to be implemented, but they're on the brink. It's coming. And with AI technology, and now a type of AI robot that is being formulated to go mainstream, only God knows of what is coming down the road. All the more reason why we must be prepared. Is this digital ID a sign of what is to come? Let's see what will take place in the near future. Keep your head on a spiritual swivel. Until next time.